All right, good morning and welcome. You are here for spending plans for the budget savvy, particularly dealing with college students in this time of coronavirus. My name is Breck Miller. I'm with LSS Center for Financial Resources. Just to give you an idea, we do consumer credit counseling. So we work with people one-on-one on anything from putting a basic budget together to people struggling with credit reports, student loans, mortgages, to people who walk into our office with boxes of unopened bills. They're so overwhelmed with debt, they don't even open the mail anymore. And we can usually help with that. But we also like to try and catch people before they reach that point. And so we also do a lot of financial literacy education, homebuyer education, tenant education, just to try and help people be more successful with their resources. And we are here today in partnership with Lost&Found, and I am excited about this. Lost&Found is, hopefully you're aware of, particularly focuses on resiliency in college students and mental health. You're saying, okay, wait a minute, mental health, finances, what's the connection? They're actually very intricately connected. We see a lot of connection between the two with our clients. A lot of times people dealing with financial challenges end up with mental health challenges, and people with mental health challenges end up facing financial challenges as well. So they actually go hand in hand very well. So we're going to go through this stuff today, and we're going to talk a little bit about just why and what goes into a budget. We're going to talk about simple tips and tricks to help you manage your money well. And then we'll also talk a little bit about what do you do in a crisis? How do you handle that budget? And there is a slight delay, so you're certainly welcome to post questions if you're viewing this live, and we will see those and I will answer those. If I don't catch them immediately, I will double check those at the end of this as well to make sure we answer those questions. And if you have questions, if you're watching this later on, certainly get a hold of us. We will help you out as best we can. Okay? So let me share this with you, and we'll work through these things. Now, we're going to start out with the quiz. I know it kind of feels like being back in school, but now I'm not, especially with the delay, I'm not going to expect you to answer, but I'm going to give you a minute just to think about it, because this gets us thinking about why does all of this even matter? So, first question. What percentage of NBA and NFL players are broke or bankrupt within 5 years of retirement? Okay, now, before we settle on the answer, I looked it up. I looked it up just this morning. The median income for an NFL player is $860,000 a year. NBA, average salary for an NBA player is $7.7 million a year. Broken out between their 82 games in a season, they make roughly $94,000 per game. And how many of them are broke? More than 60%. That's high. Next question. Let's talk bigger money. Lottery winners. Now, this is jackpot winners, okay? What percentage of lottery winners waste all of their winnings within a few years? This is big money. The last guy from South Dakota that won the jackpot was about $223 million that he won. I mean, he took the immediate payout of only $88 million. This is big money. And yet, about 70% of them. We often think, people, as they try to understand what my department does in credit counseling, they go, that's a low income thing. Financial challenges are a low income thing. That's not it at all. One of the things I preach through most of my classes is that it's not about how much you make so much as how you take care of it. Financial challenges can strike all of us. It's not about how much we make, it's how we take care of that. Okay? Even locally, I was talking with a mortgage lender here in Sioux Falls, and she had a client come in, they wanted to refinance, get a new loan for their house. And there are a lot of things to qualify for that, one of them being income. And she didn't have any income, but that's okay because her husband was making about $75,000 a month. And so great income should be no problem getting a mortgage. The lender pulled their credit report, just took one look at it and knew she could not give them a mortgage. She said one of their lines of credit, their payment was $700 a month on that credit card. And that was one of several lines of credit in that condition. They had so much other debt, they could not afford a new mortgage for their house. It's $75,000 a month income. This isn't a high income, low income thing. It's how we take care of our money. So let's get a little more realistic. True or false? Feeding a family of 4 for a month is more expensive than that payment on a new car. We're starting to think about a new car ourselves at our house. Not going to go brand new because it's expensive. I'd really like a pickup. That's even more expensive. I think more of us are probably more aware of this right now in that we're spending a lot of time at home, so our grocery bill goes up. But average American family of 4 in 2014 is the last number we have on this, but costs about $803 a month to feed a family of 4. That's expensive. And when I'm working with students, a lot of times I refer to that $803. That number, I refer to that as birth control. Okay, kids are expensive. So, and I'm not saying I love my kids dearly, but they're expensive. We have to have this plan. This is why paying attention to our finances is so important. So true or false? Debt isn't as bad as you think. You just file bankruptcy and it goes away. I mean, that is bankruptcy, right? It makes debt go away. But it's not quite that easy. You have to qualify for bankruptcy. And then not all debt goes away. Most student loan debt, child support, tax debt, those things don't go away when we file bankruptcy, regardless of what kind of bankruptcy we file. So it's crucially important to be dealing with these things and managing our finances well before we even get into that crisis place. Okay? So when we're talking budgeting, we always begin by talking about dreams. What are your dreams? What do you want to do? What do you want to have? Where do you want to go? And these dreams are incredibly important for us because these dreams become our goals. Okay? I'll be the first to tell you, as much as I love teaching this and talking about it, and I think it's so important, budgeting your money isn't terribly exciting. It's not really fun for most of us, but it's very important to do. I still do it. I take care of my money day to day so that I can do these things down the road and I can afford to do that. Okay? So our goals are our motivation. So that's why we want you to be really intentional. Pause this, go back to it later or whatever, but take time to write down your goals. Have those in front of you. Have that motivation as that reminder of, I might have to make a tough choice now so I can have this in the future. Okay. Now, going into a budget, a lot of people don't like the idea of a budget. They think it's kind of a dirty word because they see a budget as a limit, a restriction. A budget tells you, no, you can't spend money. And we have to change our perspective on that, I think. A budget is simply a plan to be able to say yes. It's not saying no. It's how am I going to use my money to accomplish those things that are most important to me. It's a plan to say yes. And if we look at it that way, suddenly a budget is a good thing. Okay, so we need to shift that a little bit. It's also awareness. How much have you spent on gas for the car this month? How much have you spent on snacks, coffees, whatever those little things are? Most people can't give me exact numbers. They may have a ballpark and a general idea, but if we're not careful, those little things tend to sneak up on us. Okay. So step one in this budgeting, take control. Be aware. That's the first thing we do with our clients when they come in for counseling is we go through that budget with them and bring your statements, bring your receipts, everything, and we'll figure out exactly where that money is going. We have to know our starting place to know our path to where we want to go. Accept responsibility. Okay. We have clients who come in and thanks for coming in. Why are you here? Well, I'm here because I can't pay my rent this month. Oftentimes, it's not that they can't, it's that they won't pay their rent. They had the money to do that. They just chose to spend that money somewhere else. Okay, so it's not that they can't, it's that they've chosen not to. And that's not to say they're a bad person. That is simply saying that was their choice. And as soon as you own that choice, you own the ability to make a different choice. And so that's an important first step in this as well. And then track your actual expenses. That's part of that awareness as well. There are a lot of ways to do that. We have tools that we use in handouts that we use with people to track those expenses. If you haven't been tracking, go through and create a list of all your expenses and guesstimate. Write down your guesses of what you actually think you spend. Track it for a month. See how close you were. One of our counselors did that. I mean, she's a certified consumer credit counselor, right? She guesstimated. She estimated she and her husband were spending about $200 a month going out to eat. Okay. Now, it was before kids, and it was football season when she did this. They're Vikings fans. So every Sunday, they go to the bar, have a beer, have a meal. Then they're Vikings fans, so you get to the fourth quarter, you maybe order another beer just to get through it. It adds up. When she tracked it for that month, her guesstimate of $200 turned out to actually be about $400 a month going out to eat. So track those expenses so you know reality and you know where you're really starting. Spend less than you earn. To which we all say, duh. It's common sense. Okay? But about 1 in 4 Americans is spending more than they make. 1 in 4. If you're in a room with other people right now, take a look around, count how many there are, and you can figure out how many are spending more than they make. In fact, you want to know who it is? It's the one who's not looking around because they already know who it is. Okay? So this is common sense, but there's a big difference between common sense and common practice. We have to get that in place. How do you spend more than you make? Well, credit cards, that's a whole other story. Credit cards can be great as long as we're using them well. Okay, so that's just an aside on that. So once we kind of know where we're starting, then we have to plan our attack. Understanding, knowing where we're at, how much we have in savings. Also, how much do you make? This is kind of a fun one to play with high schoolers. I'll be in front of a class. I'll say, who's got a job? All hands go up. I said, all right, how much do you make an hour? And of course, they all want to really impress people. So it's, ooh, I make $9 an hour. Say, no, you don't. And they'll kind of get a little confused and a little defensive. And before they can figure it out, their buddy's got to one-up them. Ooh, I make $10.50 an hour. No, you don't. And sometimes I'll go through 5 or 6 people before somebody realizes, oh, you're talking about after taxes. Yeah, when we're budgeting, we have to work with that net income that we actually have in our hands, in our pockets. And this is not just high schoolers. I talked with my cousin who's a nurse elsewhere, and she was looking for resources because she had nurses, professionals, who could not figure out why their paycheck was less than they thought they should be earning. They didn't comprehend taxes. And as you get older, you understand there's also insurance that comes out, and retirement and health savings account and all those things that come out. So make sure you are budgeting with that net income. And get your goals in there because that's our motivation. So we definitely want to start there. And then into our budget and understanding our expenses. Now, fixed expenses, these are the easy ones. Same amount every month. You know they're coming. You know how much they are. These are easy. Variables are a little bit trickier because they're still there every month, but now the amounts are going to change. Okay? Food, gas for the car, utilities. But if we are watching these over time, we will have a better idea of what to expect. It was about February, a couple of years ago, and we got our gas bill for the month at home. It was high. Ridiculously high. I spent about 20 minutes going off My patient wife, bless her heart, just let me go. This can't be right. This is way too high. We never spend this much on gas. There's got to be a problem. Maybe there's a problem with billing. Do we have a gas leak? Is our furnace not working right? Is this something we should be really concerned about? There's no way we've used this much gas. And on I went. And finally, I decided, you know what? I'm going to prove myself right. Mistake. And go back and I looked at our previous 12 months of gas bill. The same month, 1 year prior, $5 difference. It was a natural peak. I just wasn't thinking that far back. So if we're watching these, we can have a better idea of what to expect, even though they are going to change a little bit each month. And then we have our periodic ones. These are the really hard ones. They'll come out once or twice a year. Some of them you will know are coming. I know every July I got to go down to the county and write them a check for $200 for those little stickers that go on my license plate. I know it's coming, so I can save up for that. Some of them we won't. I don't know where you all are at. April of 2013, I will not ever forget that date. We had a little weather event here in Sioux Falls. It was the ice-pocalypse. It was 2 days of freezing rain. And I live in a neighborhood with huge old trees. So it was like 2 days of gunshots going off in my neighborhood from all the trees snapping under the ice. And I had big trees in my yard. So that first night I decided I was going to be that responsible homeowner and go out and check my roof, which I don't know why. It's a roof covered in ice. What am I going to do about it anyway? But went out, got about halfway down my driveway, and just as I was turning around to look at my roof, I heard the next snap right overhead. I dove for the garage, did not make it, laid me out flat in my driveway. Okay? This was the moment I knew the honeymoon was over in my marriage, because my wife heard it come down. She did not come running to my side. She just stuck her head out the front door. "Are you okay?" As I'm laying there on the ground. Okay. Pulled both hoods back and it's running blood. Okay. So as we're pulling away to go to the emergency room, I finally get a look at my roof. Not a single branch on it. And off we go. Now, we have health insurance. We have good health insurance. But still, it's a trip to the ER. It was a tetanus shot because it was behind on that. There's pain meds, antibiotics, and 10 staples in my scalp. Even with health insurance, that was an expensive night. And the question is, can we budget for those unexpected expenses? And the answer is yes, sort of. Now, we're not going to know the exact dollar amount, but this is where savings come in. Savings are what save you. When life hits the fan and things get ugly, that's what we have to have in place. And we may not know exactly how much to have in savings, but we talk about risk exposure. Right now, if you're renting a place and something around your place breaks, what do? Call the landlord, let them fix it. But if you're going to buy a house and something breaks, well, you are the landlord. You have to fix it. So as a tenant, we need a little bit of money in savings. As a homeowner, we have to increase our money in savings to be ready for those things. Okay, so that's periodic expenses. Savings, how much? Understand emergency versus planned savings. The trick there, and I talked about savings are what save you. It's critical. So we have to be getting money into savings. And a lot of people are on the whatever's left at the end of the month plan. I'll put into savings whatever's left. The challenge to that is if it's there in our account in the meantime, it's accessible and it's easy to spend. And by the end of the month, we probably don't have anything there. So pay yourself first. In fact, if you're on direct deposit, you can have your employer do that for you. You could tell them, hey, I want the first $50 to go into my savings account and the rest can go into checking. They can do that usually. The bank can do it for you. You can do it manually yourself. However, whatever works, but get that money into savings. It creates a habit, a pattern of behavior. And we know how hard habits can be to break. But if it's a good habit, use that to your advantage. And also understand that emergency savings and planned savings are separate. We want to have the emergency savings, planned savings. If we're going to use our planned savings for vacation, that's great, but we don't want to use all of our money on vacation to come home and find that, well, now I got a major car repair, but all my savings are still on vacation without me. So I always want to keep that emergency savings in place. And our ballpark that we use kind of as a goal benchmark is about 3 months of expenses. Whatever it costs you to live for 3 months, that's what you should have in your emergency savings. Now that may be a lot, but start with something, start with anything to build up to that. Okay? And then depending on your situation and your risk exposure, we may change that. For our clients who work in landscaping, if we get a really long, cold winter, they might need more than 3 months in savings because they can't do landscaping in South Dakota in the winter. Just doesn't work very well. So they have to have more money in savings to make it through the winter. Adjust it to your needs. Okay? 3 months of expenses. Yep, that plan, those are the goals that we talked about. Okay, and then step 3, like Nike says, just do it. This is perhaps one of the hard pieces. Okay, be aware, use your tools. Like I said, we've got paper pencil things that we can use. There's an app for that. A lot of great ones out there, a lot of free ones out there. Take a look at the reviews. Mine, I have one app that I use. It's great. It's put out by Intuit, who does TurboTax and everything else. I've got it synced to all my accounts. And within 20 seconds or less, I can log in and I can tell you to the penny what we've spent on groceries this month. Okay. Some people even go so far as they create an Excel sheet in their computer to track every expense. However you're going to do it, just do it. Okay. Understanding needs versus wants in all of this too. This is a big one, and we tend to think this is pretty easy. There's neat little boxes. This is a need and this is a want. Unfortunately, it's not always that easy. Okay? Needs. Things that we have to have, like food, shelter, clothing. But it's not that easy. And food is a great example. Can you live for a month on ramen noodles? Most people would say, well, yeah. In fact, when I teach classes up at the prison, the guys up there are like, man, I've been doing it for 6 years. Sure, you can do it. Okay, you can, but it's probably not very healthy. And me personally, I need meat in my diet. I need protein. Now, I need protein. I might want steak every night. Do I need steak every night? No. There are other ways to get my protein. So needs and wants can be tricky because, first of all of us are going to draw that line in different places. I can't tell you these are needs, these are wants. You have to figure that out. Second of all, it's hard because if we really, really want something bad enough, we'll come up with justification for it. A few years ago, my daughter came home from school. She said, Dad, we need to go shopping. I need a new outfit. I said, okay, why? All the attitude of a 4th grade girl. Dad, picture day is coming. All the clothes I've already got, I've already worn them for picture day or the first day of school, or they don't fit me already anymore. And all my friends have already seen me in those clothes. And Dad, I got to look good for picture day, so I need a new outfit because those pictures, man, they're going to hang on our wall for a whole year. They're going to go out to nanas and grandpas and grandmas and grandpas and aunts and uncles, and I got to look good for them. So Dad, we need to go shopping. I need a new outfit. No, you don't. You've got a closet full of clothes. My wife stepped in. She got a new outfit. Now, that's okay because we can do that without risking house or home. Okay? It's just a matter of being almost brutally honest with ourselves about, is this truly a need or want? And I'm not against wants. I've got my share of wants. We just have to make sure that the needs come before the wants. Okay? So it's a prioritization thing. And then also, as you're working through that budget, understand life happens. A lot of people get really frustrated when budgets don't work out, crises come up, and things change. That's fine. Learn from that. It happens to all of us, even us as consumer credit counselors, sometimes have unexpected things come up. Just make the adjustment, learn from it, and we move on to the next month. And then step 4, celebrate. All right, so we started this by talking about goals. And, well, number one time of year for setting goals? New Year's resolutions, right? How many people actually accomplish those goals they set for themselves at New Year's? Depending on where you look, the study I saw said about 8%. Less than 1 in 10 people who set those goals for themselves actually accomplish them. So if you can set a goal and accomplish that goal, I think you should reward yourself, even build it right into your budget. Now, don't undo everything you've just done, but it's okay to reward yourself. Absolutely. That's that motivation that we talked about. And then also take a look at that and understand, what did you do? You did this. You managed your budget and you accomplished this. What do you take from that and apply it to the future? Set your next goals. Okay? All right. So that's kind of putting the budget together. And then now here's some really just simple things. And we're going to do this from attitude and actions, because our actions, everything really starts here, right? And so we have to figure out what's up here, what's going to impact and what's going to direct what comes out here. First attitude trick. Ask yourself, do I need this? Every time you go to buy something, pick it up and ask yourself, do I need this? Bottle of soda at the gas station. Do I need this? No. Can I afford it? Yeah. Great, go for it. Just get in the habit of evaluating those purchases. That way, when you get to the bigger, more expensive purchases, you're already in the habit and you're going to go, okay, do I need this? No. Can I afford it? I don't know. And it helps you make a more informed, more intentional decision about that purchase. Put your goals up. Yeah, it all starts up here, that motivation that we talked about. Be held accountable. Friends, family, people that you see regularly, have somebody be your accountability buddy for this budgeting thing. Now, they don't have to know exactly what your numbers are, what your budget is. You just have to know that they're going to ask, because we don't like to admit defeat. And so just knowing that somebody is going to ask can be good motivation for us to stick to that budget. Okay? But turnabout's fair play. So they're going to walk up to you once a week and say, hey, how's that budget going? You say, oh, yeah, pretty good. How's your budget going? And you hold each other accountable. I had some high schoolers do this one time with open lunch. They realized how much they were spending. And so every morning they would show up, find each other. Hey, did you bring a sack lunch today? Yep. Did you bring a sack lunch today? And at the end of the year, they figured out they saved hundreds of dollars just by holding each other accountable. Find that accountability partner. Remember that yes is no. Okay, no, it's not that conversation. This is a financial conversation. If I say yes to spending money now, what am I going to have to say no to in the future? Because really, all of us are on a limited budget of some sort. Maybe saying no to that thing in the future is worth saying yes now. Maybe not. But again, it's that motivation helping us make an informed decision. And then take it one step at a time. A lot of people can get overwhelmed by the appearance, at least, of enormity of putting a budget together. It doesn't have to be. We may have a lot of things to fix. And even our clients that are coming in total crisis, we're telling them, hey, pick 1, 2, maybe 3 things that you can fix now. Take care of those, and then we'll move on to some other things. It takes time to work on these things, which means you have time to work on these things. So don't get overwhelmed. Take it one step at a time. And then lastly, another trick you can use to evaluating a purchase is, how many hours do I have to work for this? You know, if you're working at a job making $10 an hour, you're probably actually taking home like $8 an hour. So friend calls you up, hey, it's Friday night, we're going out, we're going to go out, movie, eat, whatever. What's it going to cost you for that Friday night out? And I've gotten answers anywhere from $50 to a couple $100. Okay, so a couple $100 at $8 an hour. Let me do some math here. I may be a credit counselor. It doesn't mean I'm a math whiz. $200 divided by $8, because that's our net income that's actually coming in. You have to work 25 hours to pay for that $200 out on Friday night. Are you willing to work more than half of a full work week to pay for Friday night out? Maybe, and that's fine, but use that as a way to judge priorities, like we talked about before, needs and wants, and all. Is this really worth my working 25 hours to pay for that night out. Okay? All right, then we got to get the attitudes into action. And as we go through these, you go, man, that's simple. In fact, yeah, this all follows the KISS principle. If you haven't heard it, KISS, and a lot of people, okay, well, no, it's, keep it simple, stupid, except I don't like calling people stupid, so I flip it. Keep it stupid simple. And some of these are going to sound stupid simple, but I promise you, all of these have worked for people at some point in time. So take the ones that are going to work for you. Simple little things to help keep that spending in check. Pay yourself first. That's what we talked about before. Get that money into savings right away before we are tempted to spend it somewhere else. Freeze your credit. Now, you can put a freeze in your credit report. That's not what I'm talking about here. Knew a lady one time, had a credit card for building credit, for emergencies. That's fine. But she also knew she was going to be struggling to manage and maintain that credit card well. So she took her credit card and she froze it in a block of ice in her freezer. First of all, somebody breaks into your house, who's going to think to look in the freezer for your credit card? But second of all, if she's tempted to use that card, she has to get it out, and before she can use it, she has to let it thaw out, which gave her time to let the emotions come down and evaluate this. And is this really a good idea? Should I really be using my credit card for this? And most of the time, it went back in the freezer. Okay? People who don't have credit cards, I've had students do this with cash. They put cash in a Ziploc baggie, froze it in a block of ice, and they said it worked great. Exactly same thing as a credit card. They just had to explain to their parents why there was cash frozen in the freezer. Okay? But the parents liked it once they understood. Write it down. Be tracking everything. We kind of talked about that already, but it puts that visual reinforcement of exactly how much is going out and where it's going out. Really good for little things that we call spending leaks. Little things that we don't really pay attention to. Had a guy in my office one time, we were going through this, and we're talking spending leaks. He says, yep, I know what you're talking about. I said, yeah? He says, yep, you're talking about those smokers. I work with a bunch of smokers, and I make fun of them. I tell them all, they're just stupid. They're dumb. I said, okay. Average smoker, about a pack a day. Cost a pack of cigarettes, about $7, depending on what you smoke. Now, I can go down here to McDonald's and spend more than $7 a day on lunch. But I don't do that every day. And this guy knew it's $7 a day every day. So he's doing the math for me. And as he's talking through this, he just gets more and more wound up. He's like, $7 a day. That's $50 a week, $200 a month. That is $2,600 a year up in smoke. And I tell them all they're stupid for doing it. I said, so you're not a smoker? No, I don't waste my money like that. We all have our thing, right? Took us about 30 seconds to find his thing. He would go across the street to the gas station and buy himself a tall Red Bull for $5 a can. I said, all right, everybody's got their thing, that's fine. How many of those do you drink? You thought about it? Oh, probably on average about 3 cans a day. Okay, explains why he's sitting in my office twitching from all the caffeine. But health issues aside, it's kind of funny to watch his face as he did the math and realize 3 cans a day, he's spending twice as much on his habit as the quote idiot smokers that he was making fun of. Okay, I'm not here to tell you where to spend your money. That's your choice. My point is, know where it's going so that you know where you can make those changes if you need to. Writing it down, that's how we track that. Use cash. More and more we become a credit society. Researchers are finding our children do not understand the concept of cost worse than ever in history. How do they learn that? Well, they learn by watching their parents. What do they see their parents do? Paying for items, going through the grocery store. They ring everything up. Anymore, you just stick your card in the machine, then you take your card back. You don't even hand it to the checker anymore. And in the concrete mind of a child, you didn't give them anything. You just got all that stuff for free. Cash is a visual reinforcement of this really is costing me something. I have to give them cash and I don't get as much back when I get my change. So the concrete concept or concrete reinforcement can be a great way to help you keep your spending in check. Depending on, now this is one that's pick and choose because I like cash. For me, cash is easier to spend because I don't have a statement and accountability telling me where I've spent my money. So pick which of these work best for you. Envelope system, this is a pretty popular one that's out there, and you can use this for budgeting. When you get paid, cash it out, and then you have, this is my envelope for gas, here's how much I put in it, this is my envelope for entertainment, this is how much I put in it, and you only spend the money from that envelope on whatever's written on that envelope. If you get to third week of the month and your entertainment envelope is empty, you're out of money. You can also use the envelope system for savings too. Write your goal on the front. Here's what I'm working up for, and here's how much money I need, and then you start adding money to that envelope. And again, it can be that good visual reinforcement of what is going on and what you're doing. Prepaid cards. We had a lady in our office, really liked her coffee, expensive coffee, that $5 a cup coffee. And her coffee budget was $50 a month. So we get paid at the end of the month. So the first of the month, she'd go to the coffee shop and she would put $50 on a gift card from that coffee shop. And then the rest of the month, she only used her gift card to pay for coffee. And if the gift card ran out of money, she was drinking break room coffee. Okay? So use those cards to help you sort that out as well. Make a shopping list. I went in to get milk one time. Now, what do I have to go past to get to the milk? Seasonal candy. It was Easter, or just before Easter at that time. And so I'm going past all the Easter candy. Now, my wife really likes Reese's peanut butter eggs. So I'm going to get brownie points and pick her up some peanut butter eggs. But if she gets something, well, I really like peanut M&Ms. So I grab myself a bag of peanut M&Ms. And if we get something, the kids are going to want something too. So I grabbed some candy for the kids, and next thing I know, I'm headed to the register with an armload of candy and no milk. Ready to spend a whole bunch of money and not actually get what I went for. So make that shopping list. Only buy what's on the list. Okay? Even if you have to go back to the store later, what it does is it causes you to go home, let the emotions come down so you make a logical decision on that purchase. Is a really good idea. Should I be doing this? A lot of times we don't go back and do that. Okay. So use a shopping list as your accountability. Don't read the ads. Man, I remember as a kid, you get the Sunday ads and you'd start flipping through these things. Now, hardly anybody gets the Sunday ads anymore. That doesn't mean they're not advertising. The amount of money that is spent on advertising electronically anymore and the technology that's able to do it, it's kind of a little scary, almost. Big Brother's listening. You can talk about something, some particular product or brand, and if your phone is nearby, you go into social media and all of a sudden there's an ad for that item on the side. It's heard you and respond to that. Why do they spend so much money on advertising? To convince you to buy crap you probably weren't going to buy in the first place. So be careful about watching ads and reading ads and being tempted by those. If that's a challenge for you, avoid them. Save your change. How many times do we walk past change laying in a parking lot somewhere? And we just walk by. Little bits add up. I mean, my dad, when he was traveling for work, always kept a McDonald's coffee cup in the door of his pickup. It was cleaned out and dried out, but he'd always stick his change in that coffee cup. And at the end of the week, he'd take the cup into the house and dump it into his big jar. And it's just change, pennies, nickels, dimes. But when I was a kid, he paid for family vacations with that change he saved up. And I'm talking road trips to Arizona, Washington State. Little bits do add up over time. An example we use is you take a 2-liter bottle of pop, drink the pop, clean out the bottle, and start filling it up with dimes. Okay? Just a 2-liter bottle. When that bottle is full, how much will you have? Take a moment and think about that. How much would you have in just dimes if you fill up that bottle? As I've looked at it, it kind of depends on how much you shake them in there, but I've heard anywhere from $200 to $500 just in a 2-liter bottle of dimes. So save your change. It adds up. This is also why we want you to get in that habit of putting money in savings. Even if it's just $20 a paycheck, you're putting something in regularly, and those little bits add up over time. Divide by 12. Got a big goal? Save up for it. I mean, Christmas is coming. Start saving now. Put a little bit aside each month. And then when you get to that Christmas, you have the cash to go spend what you want. You don't have to put it on a credit card and pay interest over the next year to pay that all back. Okay? So plan ahead. There's an app for that. We talked about that. Savings, spending, whatever. There are all kinds of apps out there. Some really good free ones. Just do a little bit of research. And then find free alternatives. Wherever you're at, I'm sure there's stuff to do. I'm here in Sioux Falls. Tons of great free stuff to do. Well, usually there is. We're going to hopefully start opening back up pretty soon. But First Fridays downtown, Riverfest. The concerts at the Pavilion down at the north end of downtown, free concerts like weekly. Our parks are incredible, not only with facilities, but also programming. Our state parks are amazing. Okay. There in Sioux Falls, every year we have a hot air balloon festival or race. And you can go to the park and you watch 2 or 3 dozen balloons all take off right in front of you. And it's pretty cool. The great one is Saturday night. After they've raced, they all come back. And right as the sun is going down, they set up and they burn their burners just enough to keep the balloons upright. Okay. And as it gets dark, they're running all this flame up into these colorful balloons. It's like a colorful forest. It's really cool. And the one year we were there, you could actually walk through the balloons during this time. And so we're walking through, and my wife and my daughter went one way, my son and I went the other, and we're walking along, and all of a sudden we hear, "Hey kid, come here." Jump a little bit, and we look over, and the guy's looking at my son, and he points at the balloon basket, and he says, "You want to get in?" My son looks up at me. Yeah. So we go over, we lift him in. He says, "All right, stand up on the bench there so we can take pictures of you." There's a little bench inside. We take some pictures, and my son starts to get out, and the guy says, "Whoa, wait a minute. Before you get out, I need you to do something. Reach up there and pull that handle." Okay. My son got to pop the burner on a hot air balloon. That much fire in the hands of a 5-year-old made his summer. We did other things, but that's the one thing he kept talking about. Completely free event. Okay. Now, if you've got $160 to go see Metallica at the Premier Center, great concert, highly advise it. I'll go back again. But you don't have to spend the money to be entertained. There are a lot of ways to do that. We just have to be a little bit creative about it. Okay? So there's some just stupid, simple tricks. Find the ones that work for you. Use them. Okay? It's a daily thing, but we can do that. So that's all great, but what about when things happen, things outside of our control? I mean, we're in the midst of that right now. What do we do with our budget in a time of crisis? Okay. The first thing that I don't have on here, but the first thing I want to tell people is don't panic. This is nothing. We haven't dealt with COVID before and shutdowns. I've never experienced anything like this in my life. But really the financial challenges that people are seeing right now, our counselors have been seeing these for a long, long time. The financial challenges aren't that different. In fact, we've helped people recover from these things in the past, and we're going to continue to help people recover from these things. So you will get through this time. So don't panic. We just have to be a little more intentional and more proactive. So in time of crisis, whatever that crisis is, make sure you evaluate everything you're spending, every place your money is going. Should I really be spending? Is this something I can cut? Whether it's just occasional little purchases, memberships, if you have a gym membership, perhaps you can suspend that just to kind of draw money in and hold on to things. Okay. It's evaluating priorities too. Find income. There's a lot of people furloughed, laid off right now. When I'm up at the prison, guys are like, "Oh yeah, man! As soon as I can get out, I'm going to come talk to you guys. We're going to get things straightened out." And I tell them, yeah, "Glad to help you. Before you come see us, get a job." That's how important income is to be dealing with these things. So find income. It may not be your dream job, but get that income coming in. Now, some of you, being college students, may have been on work study. The advice from the Department of Education is that work study money may still be available. The schools may still pay you for shifts that were already scheduled that you weren't able to work. They may be able to redeploy you into a different position at the school if you're nearby. And then they sum all of that up with contact your school. Okay. And that's in any crisis. Be communicating with people that owe you money, people that you owe money to. Find out about that income. So work study is there. Sorry, I'm out of order. Regular income, find a job, any job. Even with everything going on, there are still places hiring right now. Their model has shifted in all of this, and they need people to help with that. Get a job. It may not be your dream job, and that's okay. I once had a student over at Southeast, and he was working for an excavation company that would often work on sewer lines and septic systems. And he wore rubber boots, but he's down in the hole. And he said it wasn't uncommon for him to get home at the end of the day and dump somebody else's waste out of his own boot. I said, "Man, what are you doing that for? It's disgusting." He said, "It may be, but it pays well. And it's paying for me to be here at school so that I don't have to do that the rest of my life." I can't argue with that. Get that regular income coming in. Okay. And then, I'm way out of order here, but work study, we talked about that. Reemployment insurance as well. That's the unemployment insurance. If you've had a job that you've been laid off, furloughed, whatever, they're doing some extra things with that. Contact the Department of Labor wherever you're at. They've made that easier. They made more money available to help, at least temporarily, during this time. Again, it's probably not going to be as much as you were making at your other job, but at least it's some money coming in to help cover things right now. Okay? So that income is incredibly important. Don't be afraid to ask for help. There's a huge stigma, and I know Lost and Found deals with that stigma with mental health, but we see the same kind of stigma with financial health as well. We've had clients come to our office for a scheduled appointment, sit in their car for the entire appointment, and then leave. Never walked in the door because they just couldn't bring themselves to do it. Now, fortunately, they came back later and we were able to help them, but there is that stigma there. Financial problems strike everybody. Even I think most of our counselors have faced financial challenges. You can get through these. Don't be afraid to reach out for help. Okay? Whether that's us, a trusted advisor, a parent, somebody who can help you walk through that. And then also watch out for fraud in this time. We're hearing that in the media that with the government checks coming out, people become more desperate, and so they might work extra hard to come up with somebody else's money. Be careful and watch for that fraud. So how do we do that? With your student loans, go to studentaid.gov. That's the website through the federal government. You can log in there, log into the National Student Loan Database System. NSLDS is what we abbreviate that to. That is the information center for all of your federal student loans. Keep an eye on that. Make sure it's accurate. Okay, not that the government or your school is trying to work one over on you, but anybody else. Okay. Things beyond that, annualcreditreport.com. You're entitled to a free copy of each of your 3 credit bureau reports every year. In fact, right now, Annual Credit Report has opened that up to you get a free credit report from each of the bureaus every week. It's just going to last a little while till we get kind of through all this recovery time. but do that. If somebody steals your identity, opens up an account in your name, they're probably not going to send you a thank you card. So how do you find out? Pull your credit report. Take a look at that. Now, there are also other credit monitoring services out there, other ways to do that. A number of those are free ones. Credit Karma. Okay, I've got Credit Karma. It's free. It's not bad. You just have to know what you're getting. Understand it's not the full credit report that you would get through annual credit report. And they also use a different scoring system. They use the Vantage score to give you your credit score, where 90-ish% of lenders are using the FICO credit score. Okay, so it's going to be a different number, but it's not bad because that Credit Karma updates once a week, and you can still watch that trend. And if you see something change, you know you have to go digging a little bit deeper. There are other ones out there. Credit Sesame is another free one. Some lenders offer this. I know we actually get our free FICO score through Wells Fargo because they're the servicer on our mortgage. And some credit cards will offer you your free credit score that updates regularly. So use those. There are also paid credit monitoring services out there. I don't use one of those because I'm checking mine fairly regularly through these free ones, and I can know if I need to go deeper. If you want to pay for a credit monitoring service, that's fine. Just make sure you understand what you're getting for that fee you're going to be paying. And then I'll also talk briefly, credit freeze. You can go through your credit bureaus directly, and it's free to put a freeze on your credit. That means nobody can take out a new loan in your name, including yourself. So it's some good consumer protection there, but also what happens then when you do decide, hey, it's time for a new car, or I want to get a credit card to build my credit, they'll give you a PIN number. If you use their phone or their online system, they have to have that freeze taken off within an hour. And oftentimes it's instantaneous. But I think that credit freeze can be a great way to help protect yourself from some of the identity theft as well. Okay. So that's what I've got. Again, in this time of crisis, don't panic. Reach out for that mental health help if you need it, financial health help if you need that as well. The financial things, we've seen it all before. Everything that people are facing right now, we've seen, and our counselors have helped people through that. So whoever you're going to get help from, any not-for-profit counseling agency, do that. Times are going to be different. That's not a bad thing. In fact, I wrote a blog post yesterday about dealing with crisis. Crisis can be a great thing because crisis can encourage us to change. And if we handle that well and we make a positive change, hey, that's improvement. So don't get overwhelmed by the times. There's always hope. We just have to be a little more intentional about it. Okay, so that's what I've got. I'm right at about an hour, which is kind of what we're aiming for. So Nathan, you're kind of my contact here. I'm going to bring you back up if you are around. And I don't see any comments that came through or questions.
Nor did I. That's why I was awfully quiet on this end of things.
And that's fine. Sometimes it takes time to process through these things. Certainly reach out to us, reach out through Lost and Found. Don't be afraid to ask for questions later. We are more than happy to help people just be healthier. So anything else, Nathan, as we head off?
I'd just like to say thank you to LSS for doing this with us. I'm very excited that we have been able to offer a lot of online programs for a variety of things over the course of this last month. We're going to take a short break next week as we a lot of our students are working with are going to be going through finals and in the midst of finals. So we're going to take a slight break from our programming next week, but we'll pick back up the week of May, I believe. Is it Monday, May 11th? I don't remember. We'll pick up that week though. Yeah. Hey, look, I got it right. I have no idea what date or day it is most of the time, except I know it's May now because my calendar told me so. But I don't know what happened to April, but it's gone. And then one more thing I'd say is that we are one of our chapters, the USD chapter of Lost and Found, where our whole organization actually began. with a group of college freshmen at the University of South Dakota. They are doing, it's called Nikki's Run. It's in honor of a student who had passed away from suicide. So it's a virtual 5K. You can do it in your home. You can do it on your treadmill. You can walk it. You can run it. But we have that coming up. So we encourage people to go check that out and see if they they want to do something this Sunday. Get out, enjoy the weather, be active. My wife and I are going to do it. We're walking. We're not running because that is not something I prepared for mentally. But we're going to go do that as well. So
Awesome.
I encourage people to take that up if they're able. And I'll put it in the chat for the event here once I grab the link. So that's all I've got. Thank you.
All right. Yeah, thank you again. Reach out anytime you need help. Everybody, it's not about how much you make so much as how you take care of it. Everybody faces challenges. Just reach out and get some help. We'll move forward together. So there's the comment in the chat. And until next time, blessings.